About a year ago, I read a book that explained how within recent years, that generation after generation of humanity consider pursuing Christianity less and less. Statistics show that today our youth are more inclined to abandon the faith as they move through life, or at least become less of a practicing Christian. In the Old Testament, that pattern was evident as well. It seemed as though with every new king, the Israelites became more pagan and more opposed to God. And it didn't take very long for that trend to begin. God led the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt and brought them into the Promised Land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Joshua led the Israelites in taking over that land, a land that was meant to establish their people for generations. But once Joshua and his generation died, things changed. It says in Judges 2 verse 10, "After that whole generation had been gathered to their fathers, another generation grew up who neither knew the Lord nor what he had done for Israel." It was this generation who turned from the one true God and began worshiping other pagan gods. And for the most part, generation after generation, the Israelites who once followed God wholeheartedly turned their backs on him. Is this what we are facing in America today? Are we witnessing a generation who neither knows God nor what he has done for their fathers and grandfathers? It sure looks that way to me. That is why it is so important for believers to pass their faith on to their children, to remind them of who God is and what he has done for them, so that they will follow him, and their children and their grandchildren will as well. But if you are one who has grown up not knowing the Lord or what he has done, I encourage you to stop the generational pattern. I encourage you to turn to him today. If you're dealing with something in your life that you'd like prayer for, I'd love to pray for you. Just email your request to writecmv@hotmail.com and put the words prayer request in the subject line, and I promise I'll be in prayer for you. When Joshua and his generation died, another generation grew up who neither knew the Lord nor what he had done for Israel. I don't know about you, but I see that trend happening here in America, and it is alarming and sad. Later in the Old Testament, there were a couple of kings who stopped that pattern. They turned to God and served him like their forefathers once did. So I encourage you, if you have children, or when you do have children, make it your mission to pass along to them the hope that you have in Jesus. And if you're one who has turned your back on God, turn back to him today. And if you are following Christ, pray for our youth that we will not see another generation lost.